Segment 3 of MAAC Mania's Women's Wednesday. Mike Tuna and JJ Garcia with you. Let's kick it off at the top. Fairfield Stags swept their way through the week, a win at home against St. Peter's, and then headed up to Loudonville for a victory over the Saints of Siena.
Yeah, and they held their opponents to a total of 81 points.
That's total from 2 games. That's not one game.
81 points, ladies and gentlemen. Insane. That defense, suffocating. Their offense is good enough, scoring 79 points per game.
Their offense might be the best in the MAAC, and they have such a suffocating defense that also might be the best in the MAAC.
They only allow 56 points per game. They score almost 80 points a game. Insane. This is just wild.
For the folks at home, that's a 24-point scoring margin per game.
Just truly insane. Cydia Scott team's 323rd triple, as you mentioned before, a MAAC record. And this was just, these 2 games were just domination. They now hold the alone 1 seed at this moment. And
at the moment, they do have a bye coming up this week. And then it's going to be very interesting to see the tiebreakers. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it is actually Quinnipiac that owns the tiebreaker because of their record against Merrimack. Obviously, they're the 1 and 2 seeds and will be the 1 and 2 seeds. They've already clinched them being the 1 and 2. It's just a matter of who gets the 1, who gets the 2. And it comes down as the next tiebreaker to, because you don't have the 1 and the 2, what is your record against the 3? And if I'm not mistaken, Quinnipiac is 2-0 against Merrimack, and Fairfield is only 1-0, which therefore means the Bobcats will win the regular season so long as they win out. They have 2 games this week. Fairfield has 1. That's the likelihood. Just a quick little note on JJ's record-breaking comment. That was during the 27th game. We're not even through the full season, and this team already broke a MAAC record in 3-pointers made. They also broke the opposing game low by 12 points when they held the Peacocks to 30. What a week it was for the Fairfield Stags. But Quinnipiac also really good in that conversation. Took care of a fellow Connecticut team.
Yeah, Quinnipiac, as we mentioned earlier, they beat the Pioneers and held them to their season low 39 points. This Quinnipiac team, insane to say the least.
Crazy.
They are playing so good. Like, everyone came into the season being like, it's Fairfield's conference. It's Fairfield's conference. Quinnipiac said, no, it's our conference too. We're going to fight for this spot, and that's exactly what they're doing. They have 6 players scoring over 9 points per game, which is huge because that means teams can't just focus on 2 players to shut them down. They have to focus on 6 different players that can go for 20 points in a single night. Truly makes this Quinnipiac team so special.
They only play, I should say, 7 players. And if I'm not mistaken, the one player that plays most of the time, of course, you're going to have your bench people that come in blowout situations. But out of the 7 main Bobcats that touch the court, I would assume the only one that's not in that 9+ points per game category is Paige Girardi. But Paige Girardi, for a majority of the season, has held the NCAA first place in assists to turnover ratio. So it's not like she's not producing on the court. No. She's still the best in college basketball in a particular area. That Bobcat team is so incredibly talented, and that's why they held first place for such a long time. That's why they started off on way more than a decade's worth of a win streak.
Yeah.
They had such a long win streak to start the season. Yes, they ended up splitting the season series with Fairfield, but the 2 of them are fantastic. I think whichever team does not win in Atlantic City will probably maybe not make the NCAA tournament, but I could definitely see there being a WBIT bid, something along those lines, some form of a postseason for the team that doesn't win it in Atlantic City. I mean, of course, there's possibility for upset, and if there is, let's say a Merrimack wins the conference, then I think both teams actually still get a postseason bid, but we'll see a little bit more once Atlantic City does indeed conclude. A team that is comfortably and mathematically sitting in that 3 seed, and will play the 6, is Merrimack. And that is the Warriors, who won on the road at Sacred Heart, but then lost at Dratty Gymnasium. So does that Manhattan loss concern you, JJ, Are the Jaspers simply just rolling with their 4-game win streak?
Jaspers are just rolling. That's the best way to put it. There's nothing concerning me about this Merrimack team. We've said it the whole year. They are the third best team in the MAAC. They are the clear-cut third best team in the MAAC. They were on a 7-game win streak, I'm pretty sure. They beat Sacred Heart. They beat Siena. They beat Marist in a very close overtime game. Nothing concerns me about this Merrimack team. Nothing concerns me about this loss. When you play a hot team, it's hard to slow them down, and that's exactly what happened. They played a hard Jaspers team, a very hot Jaspers team, and they lost to them. That's the simplest way to put it, but nothing concerning me for them. They have Mia Fiore, who's playing great this year, almost 14 points per game. They have Madison Roman, Lydia Melashenko, who's absolutely incredible. This is a very well-rounded team in Merrimack, and just like the men's team, just like how they've been all year, they are the clear-cut. They're a good team. Even if they lose a game here and there, they are a very good team. They're a defensive-minded team. They're very strong on the defensive end, and they could really change momentum whenever. They could go on a 14-0 run. The other team could go on a 10-0 run, and they'll just come right back at you.
Manhattan, on that 4-game win streak, their head coach, and Heather Voulin, has been a 500 or better head coach in 5 of the past 6 seasons. She's not going to get that this year because they didn't win a single non-conference game. However, there is a real shot that Voulin's squad is above 500 in conference play. Another team that is guaranteed mathematically to do that is Iona. They won at Siena and they won at St. Peter's. Balloon to 4th behind this 4-game win streak that they're on. Are you buying on the Gales, JJ?
100% buying in on the Gales. They have been playing so great. Like you said, 4-game win streak, Canisius, Niagara, Siena, St. Peter's. Something that's going to be super interesting. I know we'll touch on this team later on. Another team that's on a 4-game win streak is Manhattan. These two teams face off in the last game of the year.
And it could mean everything for the Jaspers in terms of clinching that bye. Most likely, Iona will already have a top 6 seed locked up by then, but it could be life and death for that bye game for Manhattan, which is crazy to think about because all I was saying is, the 8-9 matchup, first matchup in Atlantic City is going to be Marist and Manhattan, right? That's just seems logical. It's a very realistic shot that could be Marist Mount, which if that is Marist Mount, get your popcorn ready because if you don't recall, last year in Atlantic City, the Red Foxes were down by 27 points with about 15 minutes left in the contest and almost pulled off the 3rd largest comeback, not in the history of the MAAC, not in the history of the postseason, in the history of NCAA Women's Division I basketball.
Insane.
That would be get your popcorn ready. But a team you might not be getting your popcorn ready for is Siena with this 4-game losing streak. Yes, they've lost to what right now are the top 4 seeds in Quinnipiac on the road, Merrimack on the road, Iona at home, and Fairfield at home this past week for Iona and Fairfield. But, JJ, is this big losing streak okay because of the competition? Or is it concerning you, especially with that Francesca Shiro injury? They're down to a 3-way tie for 6th place.
Yeah, concerning is kind of an understatement for what I'm feeling right now about the Siena team. Yes, you've played the 4 best teams. I totally understand that. When you go into conference play, when you want to make yourself known in this conference, when you want to be a top team in this conference, you have to win against top teams. You have to be close against top teams. They were not close in any of these games. Not one of these games was close. That is so concerning. And you have your best player out, easily your best player out, and you're kind of in this pickle now. You kind of got to start moving your feet. You had a chance to get a bye. You had a really good chance to get a bye. Now you're on a 4-game skid. It's just everything seems to be going downhill for the Siena team, and it's very disappointing to see, but it's also very, very concerning because you got to play close in one of those games, at least one of those games, and they didn't do that.
There is a team that has at least played close in a tough competition, and that was Sacred Heart, who played close against Merrimack and lost pretty sizably to Quinnipiac. So, JJ, I bear the question, are the Pioneers contenders or pretenders?
I'm going to say pretenders.
I'm going to have to agree with you.
If you asked me this question last week, I 100% would have said contenders. they've lost 5 of their last 6 games.
Not good.
Their win was against St. Peter's, yes. They've played MAAC twice, yes. They've played Quinnipiac. They've played tough teams, but again, like I just said, you got to play close. You got to win at least one big game. One big game. They have not done that this year, and that's very concerning. That is something to me that shows a pretender. I like to see, when I'm looking into tournament play, when I'm looking into the end of the year, I like to see teams that are very solid against these top teams who might not fully beat them but can at least be in 1-2 possession games. They don't really do that consistently. It's very sporadic, and that's something that is concerning. I mean, Amelia Wood is great for the Sacred Heart team, 14 points per game, but they are a pretender in my opinion. Do you feel the same way?
I do.
Yeah.
I also think that they're pretenders. I wouldn't say it's necessarily with a lack of talent. I think Amelia Wood is very, very good. I think they have some other good talent, particularly in the post. But I don't know. It just seems as if every game is super close that they end up winning. And it seems like it's a 50-50 shot at them winning when it's down the stretch. And you could really say the same thing for Marist. And Marist, in the last couple of minutes of each game, just wasn't getting the break, or they weren't closing it out properly. Whereas with Sacred Heart, it seems as if they are closing it out properly. And yes, that is a testament to how you are as a team. But I think luck is also a big factor in that. And I think Sacred Heart is just on the lucky end of that spectrum, and Marist is on the unlucky end. So not to say when you're comparing to Marist, you're just not a good team, because I still think there's a lot of talent in Poughkeepsie, but it's not necessarily the biggest compliment to say, oh, you know, we're in that same category with the number 9 seed right now that still hasn't clinched that postseason berth and is on a 3-game losing streak. So that's where I stand with the Pios. I also think they're pretenders, but a team that I think both of us do not think are pretenders is upcoming next on the 4th segment of today, when we conclude our storylines in MAAC women's basketball.